Good evening, fellow Islanders. Tonight we have another update. We have Minister Trivers with us here tonight and Minister McKay. Before we start, I just want to send a thank you out to the incredible public service staff. Their dedication this week has been second to none. I certainly know that I wouldn't have gotten through many of the days this week without all the help that is provided by the staff we have here. 70% of our workforce in the provincial government has been transitioned to working from home, and it's been close to flawless. The government's still operational. Essential staff who comes in here every day have been second to none, so Islanders can rest assured that your government is working hard on this response. So I'll move directly to Minister Trivers with his update.
Thank you, Minister Myers. So first today I wanted to address provincial student loans. So the Government of Canada recently announced the temporary pause of the repayment of Canada's student loans. And today I'm very pleased to announce that the province of P.E.I. will put similar measures in place. To support Islanders, we will be automatically pausing the repayment of provincial student loans effective March 30th, 2020 through to September 30th, 2020. So to be clear, starting March 30th, no Islander will be required to make payments towards their P.E.I. student loan for the next 6 months and will not need to apply for this repayment pause. Next, I wanted to talk about supports for early learning. I've had a lot of feedback, we've had a lot of feedback, and we've been working with the Early Childhood Development Association on how we can best support families, staff, and early learning centers through this challenging time. So to this end, we are establishing a fund of up to $2 million to further support early learning centers and their staff and parents. This will ensure that families will not have to pay fees while early learning centers are required to be closed. All licensed childcare spaces will be maintained, and early childhood educators and operators will be sufficiently financially supported. I wanted to send a special thank you to the Early Childhood Development Association, who we will be working closely with to roll out this funding. The last thing I wanted to talk about today is home learning. As we know, March break is coming to an end, and in light of the school closures following our March break, we will be providing ongoing learning opportunities for students while they are at home. So home learning will focus on 3 key areas: health and well-being, literacy, reading and writing, and numeracy, math. So starting Monday, March 23rd, activities and tasks that support ongoing learning will be provided on the Public Schools Branch and the Commission Scolaire de Langue Française websites. Resources will be available for the duration of the school closures, and as we know, they are currently confirmed to be closed until April the 3rd. As we continue to monitor the situation, we will be exploring additional learning plans if circumstances change. So they are a way to keep your children active during isolation while also practicing skills learned in school. And it's very important to note that schools will not be graded on these activities leading up to April 3rd. So department staff are working with local post-secondary institutions on entrance requirements for our graduating students. So grade 12 students can be assured that the opportunity to fulfill their high school requirements will not be compromised due to COVID-19. Also, we are exploring options for students enrolled in the International Baccalaureate and the Advanced Placement programs. So parents and guardians, we appreciate that this is a very challenging time and that many of you are working from home. And we want to assure you that although we would like you to use these resources, they are optional. Thanks again to parents, students, and educators for your ongoing patience and understanding during these very trying times.
All right, thank you, Minister Trivers. We'll move to Minister McKay for his update.
Thank you, Mr. Myers, and good evening, everyone. I know it's been a tough week, and I have to say it's been an incredibly busy week for our staff in the Department of Economic Growth, Tourism and Culture. The motto in our department right now is we're not waiting, we're doing. Since Monday, we've worked very quickly to help Islanders financially impacted by COVID-19. Just to recap, since Monday, we have established a $25 million emergency contingency fund to help support small businesses, employers, employees, and the self-employed. We set up a toll-free number, 1-866-222-1751, and an email address, PEI Business Helpline @gov.pe.ca, to hear the concerns and needs of Island employers. We continue to ask Islanders for their patience as we are still experiencing a high volume of calls on our phone line. We have made $4.5 million of financing available to community business development corporations across the province to deliver additional loans to small business and entrepreneurs. We're deferring all scheduled loan payments for clients of Finance PEI, Island Investment Development, Inc., and the PEI Century Fund for the next 3 months. This will be applied automatically to all our loans. We've created an emergency income relief fund for the self-employed and an emergency working capital financing for small business, which are both open for applications on our provincial website. And we've created what we are now calling an Emergency Relief Worker Assistance Program. How this program will work is employers will be responsible for completing the application to identify their workers who've experienced a significant reduction in their hours of work. Once their application is approved, this temporary financial support will be provided directly to affected workers through their employers and their regular payroll process. Our goal was to get money into the hands of impacted workers as quickly as we could without asking workers to jump through a bunch of hoops and fill out forms. Originally, when we announced this program, we said it would be $200 a week, but we've increased that amount by $50 as we realize this income would be subject to payroll deductions. We want to keep our promise that $200 would be going directly into Islanders' pockets, so we made that increase to reflect the impact from payroll deductions. More details and how to apply to the Emergency Relief Worker Assistance Program will be available on our provincial website on Monday. Earlier today, we brought together representatives from across the country and ACOA for a conference call with our businesses and our industry stakeholder groups to provide an update on the programs and resources we have rolled out this week. We also wanted to hear from them. What was very clear is that our businesses and industry groups are concerned and nervous about the impacts of COVID-19. But they also told us they want us to work together with government to get through the challenges ahead. I want to assure them we'll work together with you in the coming weeks and months for however long is needed to help support our industries and the Islanders who work for them. Like I said earlier, our staff are working incredibly hard to roll out these funding programs. Today, we issued out our first payments from the Emergency Income Relief Fund. Over the coming days, Islanders who have applied should start to see money in their account. We have received over 1,000 applications since we rolled out this program earlier this week. Staff are working as fast as they can to get money into the pockets of Islanders, and we continue to ask for your patience. On that note, I want to thank the staff and the department for how incredibly hard they have worked this week. This morning was the first time I got a chance to go down to see the staff and through the innovation department. And I walked in and you can see they're tired. They've been putting in long days, and it's truly remarkable what they have been able to do since Tuesday, rolling these programs out. And I can't thank them enough. You know, we've taken them from their families. We've put stress on them. Their number one issue right now, when I was leaving, they said, we just want to help Islanders out. And all the messages that you send me at night, I had a chance to tell some of them today because them messages are meant for them as well. So I appreciate all the messages that come in. There's just a couple things I feel I need to clarify this evening. First off, I want to assure all self-employed there's no deadline for our Emergency Income Relief Fund. I know this is a stressful time for you, but please don't add to your stress by feeling like you have to rush to submit your application. While the program is meant to provide relief from March 16th to March 29th, we'll be here to accept your application when you are. I also want to put a reminder out to everyone that this emergency fund is for self-employed Islanders who truly need it. The federal government will have programs to support self-employed individuals and others not eligible for E.I. starting in April. We knew that many Islanders who are self-employed, like the person who normally provides childcare out of their home, were facing a scary reality that they would have no income at all this week. I got a lot of calls this week from worried Islanders about how they would be able to afford groceries for their families and gas for their cars. We set up the Emergency Income Relief Fund for Islanders who need emergency relief right now until federal support programs are ready. Those are the Islanders we need to support right now. Your friends, your family, your neighbors. This fund is for Islanders who can't wait any longer. I want to thank all Islanders for your patience as we continue to roll out supports. Like I said before, I promise Islanders we will continue to listen to your concerns. We know these are tough times, but you have our support, and we will all get through this together. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Minister McKay, and I know we have a number of representatives from the media on the phone, so we'll open the floor to questions from the phone.
So Stu Neatby here from The Guardian. I guess just a question. I'll start with Minister McKay. Can you tell me how much money total has been dispersed so far? You mentioned 1,000 people for the emergency income relief for self-employed, but how much money has been dispersed for that fund so far?
Not sure, Stu. Thanks for the question. We started rolling them out, I believe it was about 1:30 this afternoon, so I haven't got a final number. I know they're still working at it as we speak. They're trying to get as many out as we can. Realistically, it's probably going to take 4 or 5 days to get them all out, but I don't have an exact number where we are at today.
Okay, and just to follow up on that, the $200 a week, or now $250 fund for workers who have had a drop in their hours. Why the switch of that fund to be from employer applicants as opposed to the workers themselves who are sort of facing the reduction in hours?
Thanks, Stu. We felt it would be quicker with the employer side of it. So we have employers that are, laying 10, 15, 20 people off, and they've got all their information. So to have each individual employee call and go through, I guess, the phone lines and so forth, we felt we'd be able to do it quicker on the employer side of it.
Okay, last question for me, I promise. I just want to make sure the 1866 number. There's a lot of people who are really not sure which fund they need to apply to. So is that still considered almost a clearinghouse for people to sort of call and make sure that they apply to the right program?
Right. So that number, Stu, was for the self-employed program. The loans through Finance P.E.I. up to $100,000. That's through Finance P.E.I. itself. And then we'll have an update on Monday, which will be going right to Skills P.E.I. So we'll have representatives in Charlottetown and Summerside looking after that program, and that will be updated on the site on Monday.
Minister McKay, Wayne Thibodeau here at CBC. I just had a question with regards to, we talked about the $200 program, obviously, for those workers who have a significant drop in their working hours. But if you're one of the many Islanders who have been laid off, is the only financial help for them now employment insurance through the federal government? Because obviously that's only 50% or 60% of their income.
Yes, Stu, Wayne, thanks for the question. So actually, we've got something we're working on now. I don't have all the details on it, but I believe I can give an update on Monday, and we're looking to come out with something the first of the week on the support end of that as well.
Okay, thank you very much. And then question, if I can, for Minister Trivers. I know you just mentioned that there's going to be some materials being put online through the public school branch on Monday with regards to learning from home and homeschooling. Is the education system preparing for the potential that school will not go back in at all this year?
And thanks, Wayne. That is a good question. And so we are preparing for that eventuality. The education authorities and public schools branch, as well as the CSLF, and what they're going to be doing during those 2 weeks after March break, leading up to April 3rd, is the activities and tasks will support ongoing learning. That'll be on the website. They're going to be looking at developing materials that may support curriculum-based learning after that point in time, if they are needed. I certainly would like to see schools reopened at that point, starting April 6th, but we'll have to see what happens as time progresses.
So obviously, if that doesn't happen, particularly high school students, I mean, will they graduate if they can't go back to school this year?
Yes, definitely. I mean, that's a commitment we're making. And as I mentioned, we're saying that grade 12 students can be assured that the opportunity to fulfill their high school requirements will not be compromised. And so that's why we're preparing. So starting April 6th, if the schools do have to remain closed, and again, that'll be a call of the Chief Public Health Officer, but we're going to have curriculum-based learning supports in place so that, in particular, our grade 12 students will be able to continue their education and graduate. And I believe the strategy is to, as we're developing those curriculum-based learning materials, start with grade 12, develop those first, then go to grade 11, and work our way down.
And can you just sort of clarify, I'm not sure what curriculum-based means. Does that basically means that the students would learn from home?
That's correct. So the sports center will be in place starting on Monday. Will be general literacy, numeracy, and health and well-being sort of resources that aren't tied to any specific tests, right? We're not doing any testing on those. But when I say curriculum-based, that means there are specific outcomes that need to be tested. And of course, that's what's required in order to achieve your accreditation at the end of grade 12. And so that's what I mean by curriculum-based learning. It means the learning supports will help students learn to particular outcomes that are required in the curriculum so that they can get their grade level.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Minister Trivers. Sean McDougall from the Eastern Graphic. I had a question about online learning for the foreseeable part of the month for school children. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yep.
So I had a question about internet access. What are the contingencies for school kids that have either inadequate internet access or none at all?
So that is a really great question, and it's one we've been hearing a lot about from parents and teachers, and they're very concerned about that. One thing that we're going to be doing is asking teachers who can work from home, because we realize not all teachers will be able to either. For example, if they have a house full of kids that they need to look after, they may not be able to fully work from home. But we're asking teachers and department staff to connect with students in the best way that they can to make sure that learning continues. And of course, online learning is only one way to do that. We're saying we need to connect with students. We need to make sure they continue learning, and there's a variety of methods for that. And we're asking the teachers who know the kids the best to figure out the best way to make sure their learning continues.
Okay, and could you just elaborate on how other ways teachers can connect with their students? Are we talking, dropping stuff off at their house, phone calls, or how else would they be able to do that?
But I think you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly it. If they need to phone up their students or have a conference call with phone lines, or if they need to get creative and figure out a way to get workbooks and assignments to students, they're going to be looking at ways to safely deliver those materials. Maybe it's an exchange at the grocery store. I don't know. We're asking teachers to be creative, and during those first 2 weeks, that's what they're going to figure out. The best ways to connect with their students so that both the students and the teachers are successful.
Okay, thank you.
Julian Lecasher, Radio Canada. First question for Minister Trivers. After Trivers, the $2 million that you just announced for childcare and early learning, is it just for the next 2 weeks, or is it for a long term?
Merci. No, that's a very good question. And what we're saying that funding, we believe it can last up to 6 weeks. And during that time, as Minister McKay had referred to, this is be through the entire month of March, of course, and on into April. We're going to be working with the federal government and looking at what other options may be available, and reviewing it. And we'll have to look and see if we require more funding in the future. We may have to authorize that as well. But we're thinking this $2 million should last up to 6 weeks.
Question for Minister McKay now. Minister McKay, how many people called the number for businesses since you opened it at the beginning of the week?
Is that the self-employed or the through Finance P.E.I.?
The 1866.
I would just be guessing, but I would say we're in the vicinity of probably 1,500 calls.
Last question for Minister Trivers. Just a quick one for you. Did you spoke with the federal about maybe closing the bridge? Did you receive any answers? Are you speaking about that with Dr. Reza Morrison and the Premier?
Who was that question for?
The question is for Minister Myers. Sorry.
Yeah, no, thanks for the question. It's something that we continue to monitor, and it's something that we continue to get questions on, and it's something that we will continue to monitor, I guess.
Thank you.
Laurent Rigaud from La Voix Acadienne. I just have two quick questions for Minister McKay. Minister McKay, for the emergency income relief for the self-employed, on the website it's written that to be eligible, the individuals must have declared business income on their most recent tax return. Does it mean that the people who started recently are not eligible to this help?
Thanks for the question. No, not at all. We know, not everybody's going to have that. What we're trying to do is make the applications as quick as we can to get them through. So the more information we have, the easier it is. Obviously, that we're doing the best we can on it. But no, some self-employers don't have that, and we're working through that now.
And a final question. You said that no one will be left behind on the island the other day. Does it mean that all this help you're providing is for citizens, permanent residents, and also temporary residents on the island?
No, not at all. So what we've been doing is we're trying to get through everybody that's been affected by this. Once these federal programs are rolled out, and we'll be able to know who qualifies for what. At any point, if anybody does not qualify, we're going to do our very best to work with them to see what we can do.
So thank you, everybody, and thanks for your questions, and thanks everyone at home for tuning in. Again, stay safe and continue to making the sacrifices you've been making. All Islanders will benefit from it. Thank you.